help our children get ready for learning, we really need to be helping our children work and learn at their own best potential. Every child has their own best level that they can learn at. They have their own learning rate, their own learning styles, and each child has their own best potential. And what we really need to do is look at how does that child learn best, what motivates them, and how do we get them ready for learning. So this particular video is a very quick video on some practical suggestions for getting your child ready for learning. We could talk for many hours about sensory regulation and about social emotional learning and about children's readiness for learning and about their ability to interact with their environment and with all of their other children. I will be doing all kinds of videos that talk about a lot of those things. But for right now, I want to focus very specifically on 1 minute ready for work. I also, in some other videos, am going to talk about 2 minute ready for work or 5 minute ready for work. And the reason I actually put these times on is because I work in a lot of different school districts and a lot of different school buildings and classrooms, and everyone's busy, and there's a lot of work and a lot of many activities and many learning activities and things to fit into a school day. So I feel like if we're going to talk about practical suggestions and solutions, we need to do something that is feasible and practical and where we really can fit it into the day. So if you think of children maybe in a typical school day having a schedule or a calendar where they have possibly 5 different specific academic activities. So I know that we have all kinds of activities in the school day and not all of them are specifically academic learning. But for the purposes of this idea and this approach, let's take some academic activities during the school day, things that are really times where children need to sit, or maybe not sit. They might be in different kinds of postures and positions, but they really need to be focusing and learning specific learning activities. And if we can find 1 minute before that learning activity and we can do some of these activities, research has shown that movement and music and rhythm and the ability to follow instructions and directions visually and auditorily, those are the kinds of things that really help significantly with sensory regulation. And if we can help our children regulate their own bodies and their own sensory systems, they can be in a much better place for learning in terms of their brain and in terms of their body and brain integration and focusing on their work. So here's a really quick suggestion. I know there's a lot of talk about rhythm and types of rhythm, and I know that there are lots of different kinds of schools of thought. But one of the things that research shows very clearly is that rhythm helps with brain learning, and rhythm helps with regulation, and it helps with calming children. It can help with calming, and it can help with exciting and building up children and getting them excited and moving quicker. So rhythm is a very, very powerful method of helping children regulate, up or down regulate. So look at this specific activity. Think about 4 counts and 1 beat per second. And let's look at this. Move, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 2, 3, 4. So these are some videos that you could use, or you could just use your own timing or your own beat or metronome or music program that you have. I just created some of these videos as an example just to show you some of these concepts. So let's talk about move 2, 3, 4. It's 1 beat per second, which means your child can do anything they want, but it needs to be a consistent and a regular movement. So let's say it's hands up. So it could be 1, 2, 3, 4. So the movement could be move, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, breathe out. And the breathe in is 2 counts and breathe out is 2 counts. So your child could do a whole minute of that movement. It could be move, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 2, 3, 4. Or they could do different movements. So the next lot of movements could be move, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 2, 3, 4. Or it could be crossing the midline. Crossing the midline we know is very valuable for brain development and lateral development, development of lateralization. And so it could be crossing the midline. move, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 2, 3, 4. It could also be a bigger body movement. So it could be a jump, move, 2, 3, 4, and then breathe, 2, 3, 4. The important thing is that the movements are consistent, controlled. The movement happens on the beat, and it's a careful, controlled movements. It's not random movements. It's not just any movement the kid wants to do. Children can choose their movements, but once they've chosen the movement, they need to do that same movement 4 times. So if it's a cross, midline, and bend, it needs to be like this. Move, 2, 3, 4, breathe, 2, 3, 4. So I think that the idea of children choosing their own movement is wonderful, because children love to have that autonomy and the choices. You as a teacher or therapist or parent can make some suggestions. A lot of rotation is excellent. Rotation, as well as crossing midline, as well as bending. All of those are just fantastic movements. But the concept is very simple. For 1 minute before your child works, have them do 1 beat per second, a movement for 4 counts, and breathing in for 2 counts, breathing out for 2 counts. And do that for 1 minute before working. And take the data and do the observations and see if you do that 1 minute before every academic activity, your children are going to start getting used to what it is. They're going to start anticipating it. Hopefully it'll become a strategy they actually learn. It may become a really good calming and regulating strategy for them, and that's really the goal and the hope for this kind of an idea.